Going on to the main topic or buzz of last week, the schedule released last Wednesday. I believe week one released in the morning, and then there was some rumors and stuff, and then it officially came out later that evening. I wish you did. That's when we did the last podcast. But yeah, I'll let you go first, Sean. Obviously, your Cowboys start the year off against the Bucks, but I can talk a little bit, maybe a little about that. But any other games really speak out to you? You can go. You can start. Let's start with your Cowboys. Any Cowboy games that speak out to you? Obviously, besides Week One.
I mean, week one's a little scary because Tom Brady, like, I think he posted on his Instagram story, so ready for week one, can't
Yeah,
come soon enough, can't wait to play against America's team.
yeah,
Which, if anyone doesn't know, that name started from a beer commercial and it was initially offered to the Steelers, but the Steelers rejected it. And so they gave it to the Cowboys instead. That's where America's team came from. Anyway, yeah, that's scary. If a motivated Tom Brady who wants to beat us, I don't think the Cowboys have ever beaten Tom Brady since which obviously they didn't play a ton. I think they played maybe like 5 times uh, in his career, but I don't think we've ever beaten Tom Brady. I might be wrong on that, but the Patriots, I mean, they were just always good under him, and so they come around every 4 years and just smack us. Um, so we got to play them week one. That's tough off the bat, but the Cowboys have one of the easier schedules
yeah. I'm looking
in
at
the
it
whole
now.
league. I mean, just based on strength of schedule, which this is according to the Las Vegas win predictions for every team. And for the Packers, just keep in mind that this is with Aaron Rodgers on the team. So I think they're predicting like 11 wins. Um, and a lot they're pretty conservative on most wins, so they're going to get a lot of them underneath. But the Cowboys in that prediction have the 26th schedule. It's the 26th hardest schedule, so they're one of the easier ones in the entire league. And I think a portion that's just because they play in the NFC East, right? You got Philly, you got Washington, you got New York. Based on last year, how much are all those teams going to realistically improve? Nobody knows. And then they have some other games like the Falcons, um, the Chargers. I mean, they're still a young team that's learning. So I mean, they
Well,
have some
and
other
yeah,
game. Panthers.
yep.
What do you say?
I was gonna say yeah. Chargers new coaching regime. It's gonna take them a few weeks to
Exactly.
get.
So a lot of different games like that.
Don't
The
mind that. Sorry.
Broncos, like you just don't know how that team's going to be with the quarterback situations, the coaching situations, whatever it is. But the other big game that stands out to me, which this is just, of course, but we play the Chiefs as well. So we play the two teams that played in the Super Bowl last year. I'm not looking forward to it. I will say, I mean, I don't know about the Chiefs game. I mean, it's the Chiefs, so I'm not ever going to bet against them. But the Buccaneers game, I think there's still hope that the Cowboys have a shot. Assuming everybody's healthy, maybe the Buccaneers are coming off their Super Bowl victory. They're still celebrating.
Yeah,
They
it's
don't
week
come
one.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't come out like firing on all cylinders. Meanwhile, Dallas might be a little more motivated because Dak will be back. The O line will all be back. All that kind of stuff. Barring potentially re-injury. Hope none of that happens. So yeah, I mean, there's still a shot. Week one, obviously, that'd be a big boost to the Cowboys if they could take down the reigning Super Bowl champions in Week one. For the Buccaneers, I don't think it really mattered to them. I mean, they're just, they just got to make the playoffs again and do what they did last year. So yeah, for my Cowboys, those are the two games that stands out. The Super Bowl matchup, the Buccaneers, and the Chiefs. We got to play both. But the rest of the schedule, I mean, not anything that I'm too surprised about. Like, I wouldn't say there's really any other teams that are like necessarily guaranteed playoff teams on the Cowboys schedule. I mean, Patriots, they got a shot, but a very competitive division, so you never know how good they're going to be. Vikings, once again, got a shot, but a competitive division. Raiders, same thing, got a shot, competitive division. So there's just a lot of teams like that. The Saints, who knows how good they're going to be post Drew Brees.
I will say
Uh,
though, I would rather play the Saints early in the season than later because at this
oh
point,
yeah,
at week 13, especially going to New Orleans, they probably will have an idea who's their guy at that point. Because the Saints always also
oh
just start off slow, even when Drew Brees
yeah,
era. They've always remember like a couple of years ago they dropped the game to Fitzmagic and the Stinky Bucks.
yeah.
They're like
No,
week
I
one,
100% agree. I'm not counting out any of these
yeah,
teams because I mean,
and we don't know.
realistically, yeah, all these teams I named could make the playoffs, but it's
Yeah.
just based on like their divisions and all that stuff. Even like the Cardinals, for example, a lot of teams that are in that spot where they have very competitive divisions, and so you don't know like how they're going to stack up on the year. So yeah, I mean the Cowboys schedule, I'd say outside of that Buccaneers Chiefs game, who knows? I mean, there's not really any other game that you feel like you're just going to chalk it up to an L already. And even with those two games, you never can with the NFL, but it's definitely nice that they have one of the easier schedules right now. But in knowing my luck, the Raiders, the Vikings, all these kind of teams are just going to blow up this year.
Yeah, I will say just last point. It is an interesting stretch from you have the Chiefs week 12, and then so if you let's say if you do, and it's tough because if you do lose to Kansas City, you have 4 days to get ready for the Raiders, and it's always tough, especially if it's a close game and you're like, man, like we should have won that game. We were right with them. That can always be kind of disheartening and tough to get over, especially in a 4 game stretch. And then, granted, and then a week later, you have the Saints, like we mentioned, at the Superdome. Never an easy place to play. And then you go to Washington in December, the following week. That could be a tough game too, because that'd be the first time you're seeing Washington, and we know they have a good defensive team. And then the Giants also, they could be an easy, or they won't be easy as well. Once again at New York, and then follow that up with Washington. So I think that's the only real tough stretch y'all would have, that I would be a little bit worried about. Once again, like who knows, like maybe all those teams except for Kansas City stink, by that point. It's just like you said. So it's just pure speculation at this point. But I think that would be an interesting stretch for me. And then the
Yeah,
Arizona game too, maybe a little revenge game for y'all after they beat the
embarrassed
brakes off.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last year. So
The
um,
interesting part too to that stretch is, I mean, they play 4 of their 6 divisional games in those final 5 games. They play Washington, then the Giants, then Washington again, and then the Eagles after the Cardinals game. So at that point, like it should be pretty clear where the division like is at, but that holds a lot of divisional standings, tiebreakers, all that stuff, all that weight just at the very end of the schedule. I'm not looking forward to. I mean, the one good thing is hopefully the Cowboys have really found their stride at that point, and the rest of the division is faltering, and it's become more and more clear what their issues are. But it's never a fun idea to, you know, potentially have to face your entire division and decide the entire divisional standings in those final 5 weeks, because if the division's close at that point, then it's going to be a nerve-wracking month.
yeah.